Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everybody, for being here. In advance, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Obviously, a lot to be thankful for this week. 24 great seniors in their last opportunity to play in a Big Ten game, in historic Soldier Field. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better kind of last chapter of their careers, and very happy for the opportunity to get to do that. It's going to be really a cool environment and a neat opportunity for our guys. Looking back at last week, found a way to get it done. It was one heck of a Big Ten, just heavyweight battle. Like I told Paul Christ after the game, I'm not sure we deserved to win and they deserved to lose, but somebody had to, so sorry. And then I got in the locker room and I wasn't really that apologetic anymore, to be honest with you. I was just ecstatic for our guys. So with that being said, our offensive player of the week is Justin Jackson. I mean, he was just tough and physical like he always is. Defensively, it was Deontay Gibson. And, not only Deontay, but I thought our entire defensive line was one of the more physical, one of the more dominant production-wise performances that I've seen from that group in a long, long time. And, consequently then Fadio Denabo is our defensive big playmaker. Up front, Connor Mahoney was our offensive big playmaker, which is might seem a little funny, but we made a decision that we really felt strongly we had to run the football. That's who we are. That's our identity. And that's what we decided to do. And Connor, I thought, played really, really well. In the kicking game, our special teams player of the week was Matthew Harris. We had some guys go down. I had to look at some veterans and ask them to step up in the kicking game and take them back. And not that we don't have veterans out there. We have quite a few, but needed some guys to step up. And Matt had a great game, huge fumble recovery, great play on the punt. Leading to huge field position, down in the ball inside the 5. Practice players of the week, Andrew Otterman on offense. Young man's doing a great job. He's got a bright future as one of our offensive linemen. Defensively, he's Tommy Odell, one of our core backup special teams players, one of our core special teams guys. And then Cameron Green, freshman from Stevenson, was our special teams practice player of the week. So, like I said at the start, a lot to be thankful for. Going to be a huge challenge playing, obviously, a very hungry football team in a rivalry game. We know they're going to play great. We have got to prepare the right way. We've got to get ourselves in the right frame of mind and get ready to compete and have our best game of the year. So with that, how about some questions, please?
Coach, you kind of alluded to it a little bit there with the ending of last game. And last couple of years, those close kind of crazy endings haven't gone your way. This year, you guys have taken care of business kind of late when you've had a lead there and been in a close game. What has been the difference? Has it just been kind of things going your way? Or
I think it's a combination of things. I think, first of all, focusing on the process and not focusing necessarily on the situation as far as the scoreboard or the weather or the wind. Just what is it that you have to do on that play to execute? We've been pretty consistent there. When you look, and we obviously study everything like most teams do, but as we looked at leading up even to last week, there were guys that had to step up and make plays by doing the ordinary things, just in probably maybe what would be perceived as a high pressure moment, either a big kick, a big special teams play, running the clock out and getting the first down when we need it, getting off the field and getting a stop. And we've been able to be fairly efficient from an execution standpoint this year, maybe in compared to the previous 2 years that, we just didn't necessarily make those plays. I also think a byproduct of it is how we've practiced. We've had a lot of our backups in much more of the reps than maybe I have in the past. That's a big change this year, and it's paying dividends. We obviously then played a lot more of our backups early in the year in a rotational aspect, and a lot of those guys are now seeing themselves in full-time starting roles. And the credit goes to our assistant coaches and to the young men because they've taken those roles seriously. They've worked hard at it. They've improved. And now when the program needs them to step up, they're mentally prepared and physically prepared.
Coach, when you and your staff start assessing players in January, tell us about that progress. And you look at a guy like Deontay Gibson, who owns just about 50% of your defensive player of the game accomplishments. That's an amazing number.
Well, in January, it really depends on what year they are, Teddy. I mean, if it's a young player, it's where they at right now in the weight room, setting realistic goals of what they can get accomplished between then, January and the end of the school year. If it's a veteran, it's kind of where are they at from a standpoint of their production? Are they at the role they want to be in? If they're not, why? What's the reason holding them back? What's the plan then to get them over that hump to become a guy in the competitive depth? And just having a plan and working that plan, specifically to each individual. The second part, a young man like Deontay, he's been productive his entire career. But what you hope as a coach is that by the time guys get to their senior year, the game is slowed down. There's no more thinking. There's just playing and cutting it loose. And he's played relentless all year. And he's been that way. That motor's always been there. But there was a series on Saturday that he impacted first down. He got a sack on second down. And on third down, they checked it down. And he ran as he dropped to the field flat. And he runs and he tackles the running back for a 7-yard gain on the other hash. And so his motor is running at a high level. And that's, though, what he's always been. Now he's just finished the plays. He's been just absolutely lights out, I believe, playing at an all Big Ten level. And he's done all that and being a terrific leader. And that started this offseason. I really challenge, as you guys know, the defensive line and the secondary to step up from a leadership standpoint. And Deontay was one of those guys that took that to heart, and he's been outstanding all year. And so hopefully he just continues it for 2 more. It's been fun and an honor and a privilege to be his coach.
Coach, what's your understanding of the completion of a rule about a completed pass?
Mm-hmm.
We've had a couple of incidents this year with the Vault catch, the Jones catch in the Nebraska game, and of course the big one against Wisconsin. What is your understanding of what that rule is?
Exactly what happened in the game on Saturday. It's tough. It's tough. It's really tough for that kid, but you've got to complete the process, and there's some interpretation to that. But, from my vantage point, what I saw on the field, I couldn't see anything. So we were getting ready to potentially, talk about the PAT field goal block. And then one of the replays happened up top, and I've got, as every coach does, has somebody up top that watches every replay and said, you might want to take a timeout and challenge it. And just as I heard that, they blew it up. And then I couldn't see it in the game, but then I watched it. And it's tough. It's one of those situations where you see after the ball goes in the kid's hand, Nick punched the ball and it moves. So now the completion, the ability to finish the rep is not done. Now it just starts. And it looked like then another step happened and it moved a little bit. And then when the young man hit the ground, it moved a little bit. So unfortunately for him, from my vantage point, which is a little bit skewed now, don't get me wrong, that it moved all the way through him hitting the ground, which is tough. But that's the way the rule is written. And you see it every week. You see it every week. So it is what it is. We talked to our guys, and I think their young man made a great play. I don't know if you could coach him any differently on that. But you'll get some high school guys that'll come and catch the ball in practice and be real casual with it and kind of not tuck it away. And the completion of the catch is not done all the way through. The one that I think we were really fortunate on was on Tanner McAvoy's fumble. I'm not sure he completed the process of the catch on that rep either. But I'm not going to take it back either. So I thought that one was a little bit, close from my vantage point.
Do you think the rules should be changed at all?
I think it's like 78 pages in the book. So, the game is a game, and it is what it is. If that's what I think we have a new committee now that's in charge of the rules. If that's something they decide to do, then okay, so be it. I think it's hard to be an official. I think those guys are human. I think they try to do a great job in every game. They try to do the best job they possibly can in a split second. And it's hard. It's challenging. But that's what we have replay for. And, obviously the guys in the field saw it one way on that last play. And, replay has the privilege of being able to go frame by frame. So, is the system perfect? I doubt it. But we got to play better for that play not to be a factor, and obviously we didn't, but we still found a way to win.
Coach, what's the status of Travion Henry and his status moving forward as well, and why he didn't play against Wisconsin?
Yeah, we thought he was going to be cleared, and then Friday he wasn't cleared. So I'd list him probably as day-to-day right now. We'll see how the week progresses.
Back to Deontay for a minute. at Media Day way back in August. This is what he said when talking about the previous 2 years. We gained talent and lost grind, you know what I mean? A real urge to win. Like me personally, I took for granted what success looked like. It got to a point where you had to look in the mirror and say you have to improve. Do you agree with the first part that you guys had lost the grind over the last couple of years?
Sure.
And have you seen a change in his approach after he
Yeah,
looked in
sure.
the
That's
mirror?
kind of like deep thoughts with Jack Handy right there from Saturday Night Live. It's pretty deep. Yeah, I don't think he's wrong. You know, I think I'm not going backwards in the rearview mirror, so I'm done with that. But I think the guys realized that we had a distracted football team, and they had to focus on what winners do, and that's what the leadership and, like I said, the D line and the DBs were the catalyst to that back in January on what winning teams do, and that's what, again, the seniors had been a part of here. You know, they were part of a 10-win team, and what it takes to mentally and physically get yourself ready. And then obviously the chemistry that needs to happen and be forged, you know, when there's no band, no cheerleaders, no fans, no TV cameras. And that's how you win close games. It's not anything magical. It just comes down to a belief in yourself and a belief in each other and trust in what we're doing. And we gave that away for a couple of years. And nobody was going to give it back to us. We had to take it back. And then once we had it in our grasp, we had to sustain it. And, you know, there's plenty of plays and drives and games that we'd like to have back or maybe do differently. But I think from a consistency standpoint, we're much improved over the last 2 years.
Coach, on the last 4 plays of the game, the running back for Wisconsin elected to down the ball. Did you ever get any type of explanation or acknowledgement from the official that the quarterback standing behind him was not settled?
You know, first of all, for their running back to do that, what an amazing football play. Just great awareness, great understanding of the situation, clock running. We do a Friday practice, and I don't think we haven't covered that, have we, guys? What happens if the quarterback can't? I mean, they're shaking their head. I mean, it goes on the checklist now. I mean, what a great job by him. I asked the officials, and I'll keep that conversation between us, but I respected their thoughts, and that's what I said to them, okay? And then I asked them if I could challenge it under Rule 4321, egregious error. Even though they started laughing at me, they're like, Rule 4321. I'm like, yeah, I just made it up, but can I challenge it? Because I think there was an egregious error, which I know there is a rule for that. And they didn't feel like that was the case, and so let's go play the next play. But what a great play by their running back. I mean, just great awareness, unbelievable. But a great play by our guys to get the sack to make that play relevant.
Coach, you guys obviously have experience dealing with a whole ton of injuries at once. Illinois has been plagued by their share of injuries on the offensive side. Just kind of from your experience, how tough is it to kind of get things going when you don't have the team that you thought you were going to have out there?
Well, it happens to everybody, you know, and you can either choose to have it be an opportunity or have it be a curse. And when I say opportunity, obviously it's devastating for the young men that are injured, but the next guy, it's their opportunity, and they need to step up. That's why they're in the programs. That's why, you know, we put the trust in them to be in the two deep in the start of the season, and then as things unfold. And so, you know, again, I'll go back to our plan. I was very critical of myself, and I was very critical of what we did a year ago. You know, we went into this game with, I mean, over 30 guys that started games for us down. And I just did not feel like I did a good enough job getting the next guys ready. Now, did I imagine that we'd have that many out? No, but it's not an excuse. You know, we got to solve the problem, and that's why we did what we did early in the year, and that's why we did what we've done all season, was to be prepared for if that happens, and not to have that in any way, shape, or form ever be an excuse or allowed to be an excuse. And so the next guys have got to step up, and we've got it all over our roster right now. You know, to see Travi go down and to see Terrence Brown go in and start last week was awesome, you know. Just terrific to see the way that, you know, Nate Hall stepped in for Jalen Prater, just absolutely terrific. I think we've had 7 or 8 different O-line starting 5, something like that. And to see those guys step up, I mean, okay, it hasn't been perfect, but, you know, you just got to grind through it. And those guys have got to step up, and they've got to do what we ask them to do. They've got to do it consistently, and you just got to fight through it. And And then the guys that are not out or veterans, they got to do the ordinary things. They got to go out and make plays, you know. And we've been fortunate that that's happened for us.
I'm sure you coach one game at a time mentality, but do you talk to the players at all about how close they are to having a really special season in this program's history?
Yeah, Luke, I have. You know, I'm not afraid to talk about the realities of situations. Maybe it's counter what some people may think, but you know, we understand the opportunity that we have in front of us here this week. It's a rivalry game. It's a rivalry built on respect, and one that we've got great respect. You know, for the Illini, I've known Bill for a number of years, and we're very good friends, and he's done a great job there in a tough situation. And through that difficult situation, it can either rip a team apart or bring a team together, and you got to be really impressed with what Bill, his staff, and their young men have done to bring things together and be on the verge of postseason play. You know, and what we look at, though, is we look at ourselves every week. We know we're going to get a great opponent. We know we're going to get a great effort from an opponent, and we know they're going to play very well. And so all you can control is the process of preparing, getting ready for the game. And then what does it mean? All right, so we talk about going 1-0 each week, and that's to get to number 10, and we've only done that a couple times in this program's history. Our seniors were a part of the most recent one. So when we get that accomplished, and if we get that accomplished, they're the only guys in our program's history to say they've done it twice. And that's a pretty special legacy. And then that would give you an opportunity to go into some uncharted waters. So all that's important is right here, right now. That's what I addressed with the guys this morning. And we talked about it. And they know, they're aware. And, all right, put the hard hat on, roll your sleeves up, and let's go to work. And I know that's what we'll do this week. We just got to get our minds right. We got to get rested up. You know, we just got done with the heavyweight fight, and we're going to get another one on Saturday. So we got to get our minds right. We got to get our bodies right. We got to get rest. We got to get recovery done, and as a staff, we got to give our guys a great plan because Illinois got after us a year ago. I mean, they kicked our fanny, and our guys know that, and the tape doesn't lie. So we've got to play much better than we did a year ago.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thank you.
Great, thanks, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Go Cats.